Guys, do you ever feel like life just keeps knocking you down? Like this barrage of onslaughts and guys, do you ever feel like life just keeps knocking you down? Like you're having trouble navigating the barrage and constant onslaught of life? Or that you just can't find a path towards a victory in your life? Guys, maybe it's time you find a cornerman, that you find wise counsel. Guys, if you listened last week, if not, please go back and listen, because in there, my wise counsel, Mark Flateau, drops 1 hour of just wisdom after wisdom after wisdom, and you begin to understand why I sought him to be my wise counsel. And while we're talking about Cornerman, listen, there's some great ones out there in boxing and in MMA. Eddie Futch, who cornered 4 out of the 5 guys to beat Muhammad Ali, including Joe Frazier, and then his understudy, Freddie Roach, who cornered guys like Manny Pacquiao, and then made the transition over to MMA, where he is one of the top guys for a stand-up game, and he helped to corner George St. Pierre, who is at least in the conversation of one of the GOATs in the MMA world. He has only lost twice, and of those 2 guys, he went back and handily beat Matt Hughes and Matt Serra. Also in GSP's corner is a guy named Firas Zahabi, who runs TriStar Gym out of Canada, who is just an amazing, amazing cornerman. And the power of a cornerman for these guys, obviously these are great fighters, right? They go out there and they are the ones that are in the fight. But what these cornermen do is they spend time understanding who their fighter is. They know their fighter in and out. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses. They know their good and bad training habits, and they start to speak life into them. They also are going out and watching film of the people that they are fighting ahead of the fight that they are about to go into, and they're studying the strengths and weaknesses of their opponents, how they match up against their fighter. And they develop a whole training around this opponent, the strengths of your own fighter and the weaknesses against the strengths and weaknesses of the other fighter. So if your guy is really good on his feet, he's good at throwing punches and kicks, and the other guy is good on the ground, well, you're going to develop skills to keep that fight on its feet so you stand the best chance of success. Likewise, you're going to try to keep, so if the guy is trying to shoot on you, you're going to teach him how to avoid getting shot on and taken down to the ground. That is what a good cornerman does. He knows you. He knows your strengths. He knows your weaknesses. And fathers, we have the opportunity to go down in history as our son's greatest cornermen. Guys, they came to us. I believe that our kids were known before the creation of this world and that they were uniquely created with a purpose. And the sad thing is that some of us are pushing down that created being. Instead of guiding them, we're trying to mold these kids into what we want them to be. Sometimes we just need to get out of the way a little bit. Wise counsel would be curious, would watch how their kid reacts to stresses in their life, watches how they engage with people, watch where they are best in conversation, watch what sets them off, watch what lights them up. We would know our kids. We would discipline them well, right? Discipline is teaching. Correction is part of it. But our discipline needs to be rooted in the fact that we are teaching them and guiding them, that we are good stewards of them. Guys, we should be guides and signposts towards them becoming as successful as they can be towards their purpose. Guys, we don't want to be roadblocks and detours, but oftentimes We can be. Guys, and here's a little freebie for you. It won't probably come as a surprise when I say it, but the research shows that if we want to share wisdom with our kids, that our boys, the best time to do that is we're involved in activities. We're involved in doing something with them. So guys, if your kid likes to draw, or your kid likes to shoot hoops, or your kid likes to run around, do those things, fix cars, whatever it may be, and they will start opening up. It just is an avenue for conversation. The other thing is that research also shows that they will open up more in the dark. So think about bedtime, your bedtime routine. You might read them a book, turn out the lights, and then you say your prayers. You might give them a back scratch. Maybe you give them a massage. We like to go through, we do back scratches or massages because touch is such a huge thing for kids. And it's just it's another way to help them to open up and be relaxed and know that I find value in them and that I'm loving them and caring for them. And it's simple in that moment to do. The other thing we do is we go through breathing exercises. So my kids know box breathing. They know that you breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out your mouth for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, or breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 6 seconds, breathe out your mouth for 8 seconds. So if you're listening, those are some good techniques. But we go through those techniques, but in those moments when we're spending time there with them, hey, Dad, I did this today, or hey, Dad, what about this? And they start to open up. And what they've discovered in both of those, in them opening up during an activity and at night, is it's difficult. It's a struggle for kids to look you in the eyes when you're talking. And, because we're emoting, right? We're showing them emotion through our eyes, whether it's maybe they're getting that we're disappointed with them, or maybe that we're angry with them. Guys, because when they're telling us stories, we're filtering that through where we've been. And so how are our kids seeing us react to what they're saying? Most importantly in this is go do something with them. Do something that they like to do. They will open up, and be present with them before bed. It's a great time to jump in. So what makes good, wise counsel? If you listen to my discussion with Mark, you will understand that he had a firm foundation and he had an end in mind. And I believe both of those together are important. So his foundation was in the Lord and in Scripture, and his hope is for eternity, right? So we're not guaranteed another breath. But here, that foundation helps me to look to him because I know where he's drawing wisdom from. Now, it may change over time as he grows in his understanding, because I guarantee you Mark is still growing, which is another good trait of a cornerman or wise counsel. But that he is firm in his foundation is very important, and that he's willing to walk alongside me. That he understands who I am. He understands, because he's walked with me for so long, he understands things that are hard for me or hurdles for me. He understands stories of where I've come from, and it helps him to speak into my life in a way that is freeing for me to accept wisdom. So he's an active participant. And the other thing is that wise counsel should be fighters and warriors. And I'm going to pull from DJ Van Ness, who wrote The Warrior Within. He defines fighters as people who are willing to put in the work to become better, to better themselves. And warriors are those who are willing to put in the work for others. I start to hear some John Wooden in here, and John Wooden describes success as self-satisfaction, which comes from an internal peace and knowing that you gave everything you could to be all that you were capable of becoming. So it was all about the effort. That was success. So gentlemen, be fighters. Be the best you can be. Never stop learning. And if you're looking for wise counsel, if they've stopped learning, if they've stopped growing, move on. Also warriors, if they're not fighting for you, if they're not being better, making themselves better for you or for others, they're probably not good wise counsel. And guys, wise counsel will know that going through a storm develops character and hope. That what you find when you go through a storm is that you can persevere, you can endure, and out of that comes a character that is developed. And with that character comes hope, because now you know you can get through anything. A good wise counsel, a good cornerman worth their salt, will walk through that valley with you. Right? They're going to prepare a meal for you, even when bad stuff is going on around you. Fathers, coaches, teachers, you need to show up for our boys. You can't just, guys, you can't stand on the sidelines of life barking orders and telling them how to live life and expect them to take that. They're not going to. They want somebody who finds value in them, who wants to be around them, who's excited to be with them. And in moments that are hard, will walk alongside them. And coaches, listen, we are entrusting our kids to you. If our boys are not leaving your program better men, then you may need to restructure how you're doing things. You may need to find a new focus. Your sport should be a vessel for creating character, developing character. That it shouldn't become, that outcome should be second to character. Now, I know you're trying to win games, and I think that that's great. While you're trying to win games, while you're teaching those skills, develop character. They should be able to fail. Failure is imperative. If they don't feel like they can fail with you, they're not going to get better. They're not going to want to be better for you. If you're not proud of their effort, you will not have the most successful team you can. That quote I shared of John Wooden's, of his definition of success, which is basically effort. If you get the most effort out of all of your players, you're going to get the best team you can. But in order to do that, you have to know your player. You have to know what their best effort is, and they have to trust you. They're not going to give you their best effort otherwise, and you're not going to have the best team. So go for character first. And mothers, if you're a single mom, find a mentor, find a man that your boy can have as a cornerman or as wise counsel. Men, if you have somebody, a boy who needs wise counsel in their life, be that. Be open. Our boys need other men in their life. Young men, if you're listening, be hungry. Seek wise counsel like you're looking for gold, like you're looking for treasures. There's this quote by Zig Ziglar that says, if you can't fly with eagles, or you can't fly with eagles, if you continue to scratch with turkeys. Listen, your pathway up is wise counsel. If you're wanting to soar with eagles, if you're wanting to do what eagles do, you have to learn from eagles. You can't learn from somebody else that's not doing those things. Go back and listen to what it takes to be wise counsel. Listen to what I said about those fighters and what their cornermen are looking for. And don't fall into the trap that I did when I was young. Listen, my parents got divorced. I became the quote unquote man of the house. I was the oldest sibling in the house, the oldest male in the house. And I think naturally I just took on that role. I told my mom I'd always be there, and I always was. And I worked hard, and I tried to understand my brothers and sisters. But what happened in there is that I became prideful. I didn't know what being a man of the house was because my dad wasn't in the house. So I leaned on my own understanding. And when you do that, if you lean on your own understanding, even the Bible would say you're a fool. Don't do what I did. Seek wise counsel. It's not weak to ask questions. I thought that if I asked questions, that I would be found out that I wasn't a man, that I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But the truth was, I didn't know what I was doing. How could I? You don't know what you don't know. I was not ready to be a man. Seek wise counsel. You're not weak. Not only are you not weak, you are wise to seek wise counsel. Ask all the questions. Listen, I slowed down getting better. I slowed down growing. I slowed down being as good as I could. I was slow to getting to successful moments in my life because I was relying on my own understanding. I was not asking questions of people who knew the answers. Guys, if my explanation isn't good enough, listen, if Tiger Woods can ask his caddy how to play the next shot, or Mike Trout can ask for hitting instruction, and if Mike Tyson can ask his cornerman for wisdom of the next fight, then you can ask more questions on what it takes to be a man. And you should. Those golfers, those baseball players, those fighters, what they know, the good ones, is I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to keep growing. Expect that from your wise counsel. Be that wise counsel. Gentlemen, who do you want to be? Guys, we have an opportunity to lead and to grow ourselves. And we have the opportunity to lead and grow other people. You can't do that on the sidelines. Guys, if you're struggling with any sort of addiction, or you're struggling with any sort of depression, anxiety in your life that keeps you from being the person you need to be, seek some help. Get what you need to be the cornerman that you can for other people, but be there first to be a fighter, to be the best that you're capable of becoming, and then you will be ready to be a warrior for others. Guys, if you're like me and you've made mistakes as a father, you've made mistakes just as a man, overcome them. Change your trajectory, change your story, change your narrative. It's not over. We all fail. I fail every single day. In preparation for this, I called and asked for wise counsel from Mark just 2 days ago. I had some stuff just warring and stirring inside me, so I called him, asked for advice. Guys, it is important to walk alongside other men. It's important for us to be warriors for each other, a band of brothers. You got my back, I got your back. One of my promises to you is that I will always be a fighter, that I'm always going to be bettering myself. And my promise also is that I will be a warrior for you. I will show up for you. Listen, this may fall flat with some of you. I may miss the mark on a podcast. I know that I've had podcasts that where I have, you will hear, I have ones that I had poor audio. I have some that I have an echo in the background. I have some that I'm tripping on my words. You may hear me in this one. Guys, it's not about being perfect now. It's not about always doing it right. It's not about having all the right answers, but it is about getting better. And you know what I'm going to say? Find a cornerman. Be a good cornerman. Develop the skills and traits necessary to be the man that you're capable of becoming. Thank you.